Hey Summoners, what's going on? My name is Nathan and I'm excited to be your host for this 11.5 patch preview. We've just been informed about what changes we can expect to see next patch, and I'm here to run you guys through what's coming up. Make sure you subscribe to this channel as we love making content for you guys and every sub really helps. To start things off, let's talk about the upcoming item buffs. The first item receiving a buff is Black Cleaver. It received some big changes during the preseason that caters heavily towards champions who take long, extended fights. Right, it seems that this item is a little bit too weak, and if I had to guess what the buff would be, I would probably think it's going to the passive. Its bonus damage doesn't have a significant impact until enemies are low. By then, you'll probably be able to finish them off regardless. Whatever buff the item receives, it'll hopefully be enough for Riot's eyes. On its own, Black Cleaver is a very cost-inefficient item. It draws a lot of its value from its armor shred as well as the butcher damage. If the passives aren't strong enough, it's not an effective purchase, so hopefully this buff should address this. This is going to lead us to our question of the day, and it is, which item or items do you think needs buffs? Personally, I think Horizon Focus needs some changes to its passive. While the concept is great, it feels a little bit too difficult to consistently take advantage of. Let me know your answers in the comments down below, and let's go ahead and jump right back into the video. Maw of Mount Mortius is also due some buffs next patch. Clearly, it got nerfed pretty hard during the item reworks. Lifeline only provides a magic shield now, but what's part of the issue is that the shield scales with maximum health. Typically, if you're playing a champion who builds it, you're not going to be building a lot of HP. The scaling on the item feels rather underwhelming, and you're going to have to give up an entire item slot for the magic damage shield. There are other items like Guardian Angel or any Quicksilver item that could instead occupy that slot, as well as plenty of other items that you can tack in. It's not exactly weak, but other items feel better comparatively, and I think the buff is needed. One final buff that we've been informed about is to Serpent's Fang. It's already been buffed since its release a few times, but we've got another one coming up. The strongest form of utility that players have to deal with right now is healing. Shields are present, but not nearly as common. Serpent's Fang is a situational item, but buffing it shouldn't break the game. You want an item that encourages meaningful decision making, and since the item is only good against comps with an abundance of shields, it won't ever be built excessively. By the way guys, I want you to know that we're running a promotion over at ProGuides.com. Until the end of the month, you can get 20% off of a ProGuide subscription using the code RANKUP2021. If you don't want to miss it, be sure to check it out. We have one more item adjustment to talk about, and that is to Stridebreaker. It's a great purchase for less mobile characters, helping them stick to foes once they close the distance. However, it might be too powerful as we see champions like Darius and Garen consistently dominating with it. Since this has been noted to be an item adjustment, I'd expect to see the passive is getting a change. Maybe the dash on it will be nerfed, while the slow gets increased, or maybe the other way around. Ideally though, the item itself should hopefully remain as strong as before. With items covered, let's hop onto the champions next. We'll start with some bad news, or maybe it's good news for some of you guys first. And I know one of these nerfs is so needed. Of course, Seraphine is receiving another nerf. However, this one is intended to make her weaker as a bottom lane carry. Whatever changes they throw her way, I'd expect it to make her a weaker mid laner and a support as well. If I had to guess, they're gonna lower the base damage on her abilities early on. As a bottom laner, you have access to less XP, but ultimately it feels like there's no way to exclusively nerf bot lane carry Seraphine. Plenty of people have wanted to see her nerfed, and thus, I'm sure this single change alone makes the next patch one plenty of you guys are looking forward to. Another nerf that you all wanted to see is probably to Udyr. This guy is nuts right now, and his ban rate in high elo has exceeded 60% this patch. That is a big yikes, even for Udyr mains. They just wanted him to be decent, but now he's OP. He's getting banned left and right. At the moment, Udyr deals way too much damage. Riot had to give him a ton of it because they just wanted to make him playable. Udyr is taking full advantage of the new items this season by demolishing the competition. I'd expect a 5 movement speed nerf, as well as nerfs to his damage. I mean, every day I wonder how in the world did he ever come to the point where he's gonna be one of the most outdated champions, but also the most OP. Season 11, boys and girls. Another nerf is coming up to Rammus. For mid and low elo players, Rammus is an absolute menace. Holding an overall win rate with 54%, it's clear that most players find him difficult to deal with. After all, his crowd control is strong and easy to land. With plenty of damage as well, Rammus is capable of chasing down squishies and killing them all by himself, while also being very difficult to kill. I guess it's just the way he rolls. Shaco support is receiving a nerf next patch as well. Although Shaco support hasn't been extremely popular, I mean this is the first time I've ever heard of it actually coming back into the meta, I'm certain that most players find it a little bit more annoying than overpowered. It could always be both though, because most of his success does come from low elo. I'd suggest that this change is mostly catering to low elo players who have a difficult time playing against Shaco tricks. If that's not you, then it's your teammates, because man, I have absolutely zero faith that my team won't walk into a nest of Shaco boxes. I think solo queue has made me develop trust issues. While she was perceived to be weak on release, Rell has proven herself to be an amazing pick this season, so much so that she's getting nerfed next patch. Over the past several patches, Rel has been performing well, pushing win rates around 52% in both high and low elo. I'm uncertain how hard they'll nerf her, but hopefully they won't give her the Aphelios treatment. I'm so sorry to let Udyr mains know that he's getting nerfed next patch. I mean, this one really sucks to hear because unfortunately he's got a 45% win rate overall. You know why he's getting nerfed though, he's just too good in competitive play. He's made a name for himself in several regions and has already been picked several times in LCK, LCS, and LEC, and even LPL. To make him weaker in pro play, they're probably going to nerf his utility and mobility rather than his damage. An increased cooldown on his ultimate or E can make him much more volatile, for example. I could not wait for this one, and I'm not saying I'm just a casual gamer, but she's dominating every single game in my ARAMs. I mean, 3 games in a row, they had to send on the enemy team. It's just, I was so angry. I've never been so angry in my life, I'm gonna be honest with you. And when you take her out to a normal game or a ranked game, it's even worse. And this is all because recently she's been popping off because of her synergy with Ginsu's Rage Blade. Taking into consideration her infinite scaling, Senna can continue to stack up range as well as crit chance. Ginsu's converts that crit chance into damage, and thus you get a late game monster who also brings plenty of utility to the table. I mean, did you know that she can attack Dragon over the wall from the other side? By nerfing this particular synergy, they probably won't be nerfing Senna directly. The final nerf to note is for Gragas. Gragas has been seeing a decent amount of play as a top, jungle, and a support. As a rather versatile pick, he can be kind of tricky to deal with. You're not certain where he's going, so trying to counterpick him is quite difficult. This is especially true in competitive play. He's been picked quite often in both major and smaller regions at the moment, and again, we have another nerf aimed at pro play. With the nerfs covered, let's go ahead and talk about the buffs next. While he's doing alright in the mid lane, Pyke is underperforming slightly overall. As a support, he's outclassed by many other tankier supports. He's a bit too squishy and risky to pick when other champions can drastically do the same thing without getting blown up. He'll probably receive a very straightforward buff to something like his ability damage next patch. Honestly, I don't care if he's in the meta or not, I hate this guy, so hopefully the buffs aren't too much. Here comes yet another Karma buff. So many Karma buffs this season, but they've been necessary. Karma has continued to produce poor results every time she's gotten a buff so far. While each buff does bump her win rate slightly, she's currently sitting around 47.5% across all ranks. Another buff can't hurt, right? Another champion in need of a buff is Trundle. While he's close to doing okay in low elo, he feels very weak in high elo. Trundle has felt weak this whole season, and maybe it's finally time to tune him up this patch. Although tanks aren't as powerful at the beginning of the preseason, it's always nice to have an answer to them. With Trundle being buffed, tanks as well as bruisers have one more thing to worry about. In most elos, Master Yi is currently weak. A big part of this is probably because the new item doesn't suit him that well. Yi is one of the few melee carries this game, but the others have found items that suit them quite well. Shield Bow is great for Yone and Yasuo, but feels rather lackluster on Master Yi. Builds are all over this place, and hopefully with the buff, he'll get more direction. Another big reason why Master Yi is pretty weak right now is that there are plenty of junglers who can hit him with crowd control and then just blow him up. Udyr and Rammus, for example, can easily click on Master Yi and he's dead within moments. Good thing they're both getting nerfed next patch, so maybe we might see Yi jump back into favor. More jungle buffs are coming up as Sejuani is also getting some love next patch. The jungle is dominated by fast-paced, aggressive junglers right now. Sejuani provides a ton of utility, but oftentimes her power spikes can come late into the game. And she's honestly just a little bit boring to play. Bore like the thing that she... Never mind, I know why you guys call me cringe now. Unable to contest fights against junglers with such high damage output, players are forced to play reactively and try to bring games back from behind far too often. It's hard to say what will get buffed, but taking them any other direction would definitely help. Giving her more damage to make fights easier, or lower her cooldown so she can just have more impact later on into the games. There are plenty of top lane fighters in the game, but Jax has been left behind. High elo players prefer Irelia or Fiora over him. Fiora got a buff this patch as she was underperforming, and it looks like it's Jax's turn. It's pretty insane that even with a small buff, Fiora has popped off this patch, and maybe Jax can be the next in line with a little bit more damage. Depending on what the Stride Breaker changes are, we might even see the meta shift towards fighters. Often forgotten, kog'maw is also getting buffed next patch. kog'maw's play rate is abysmal. There are plenty of other options, and Jinx got buffs too, so it's just really hard to justify picking kog'maw when you already have another champion who has incredible range. Jinx and Senna can fill that niche, but if you want pure damage, it feels like plenty of other champions can match kog'maw's. Kog'maw is one of the least mobile marksmen, so he'll definitely need some buffs next patch when he's picked more. Otherwise, he'll be utilizing his passive a lot. Which, by the way, I feel like they should probably change. It feels a little bit outdated. One final change that we can expect next patch is for Twitch. Riot is planning on giving him some changes addressing his AD versus AP builds. This sounds very ambiguous to me, and I'm not sure what to expect. AB Twitch is definitely an interesting concept, but at the same time, it's very frustrating to play against. I was playing solo queue and my support picked AP Twitch, and he had a 70% win rate. It was the weirdest thing in the world, but I dodged anyway because I ain't taking my chances. I wonder, are they gonna gun AP Twitch, or are they just gonna make changes that'll force players to opt into different builds? We'll have to see, but we'll definitely keep you guys updated as we expect to receive these answers soon. That'll be wrapping up our patch 11.5 preview. Thank you guys so much for watching, as we really all do appreciate it. We hope to see you guys in the next video and also in the Discord, which is going to be in the description down below. We'd love to have you be a part of it, and sometimes we run events like giveaways too. My name is Nathan Ing, and as always, stay safe, stay healthy, and have a wonderful day. Peace.